Hi guys, Drwendydearborne here from Food Beyond Its Nutrition. Well guys, welcome to this brief tutorial in which I want to talk to you about the different food categories that you may fall into, okay, or the different eating styles that you may fall into. This actually has nothing to do with cuisine and everything to do with the category of the food. Now, before I get started, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. So every time I upload a tutorial like this, whether it is about food beyond its nutrition, whether it's a recipe and or about the laws of attraction, and yes guys, the food you eat does impact your ability to manifest the way in which you want. So be sure, once again, to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And every time I upload a video, it will go directly to your inbox. Right, that's that done. I call that housekeeping. So guys, what we're going to talk about today? Well, I want to discuss with you what whole food, plant-based eating is. But before I go there, I want to talk to you about the four main categories that people fall under for their eating style. So what are the four main categories that people fall under for their eating style? Well, you have vegetarianism, you have pesterianism, which is me, you have flexitarianism, and then you have veganism. And those are kind of like the four main categories that people fall under. And within those categories, you can have extremes. Like within the vegetarian realm, you can also have fruitarians, and they eat nothing but fruit. They eat absolutely nothing but fruit. So you can have and I call it extremes. You can have the polar opposites, and it is the little extreme, just eating fruit only. Although I'm not knocking anybody who does that. It's just very, very different. It's like a macrobiotic diet where the food that you eat is very simplistic and it's prepared very simplistically. Again, that is an extreme within the plant world, or within the vegetarian, if you will, world. So let's take a look at each. We're gonna look at vegetarianism. So what is a vegetarian? A vegetarian is somebody who eats, of course, vegetables, and I say of course, but somebody who eats vegetables, or they eat from the plant world. They eat vegetables, they will indulge in certain fruits, they'll eat certain fruits, they'll eat seeds, nuts, legumes, beans, grains, like rice. They'll use things like oats, barley, wheat, this sort of thing, okay? This is vegetarianism. Vegetarianism is interesting because it branches out. As I said, you have different extremes or different categories within the main category. So vegetarianism would be the parent category, and then you have these offshoots. Now you have vegetarians who actually eat dairy. They will eat, they'll utilize milk. They'll drink milk, they'll make yogurt, they'll eat butter, they'll eat cheese, and this is vegetarianism. And they're considered to be lacto-vegetarians. And then you have vegetarians that will eat eggs. They'll eat all that I said above, like the vegetables, the fruits, the nuts, the legumes, etc. And they'll eat eggs. And they're considered ovo-vegetarians. And then you have vegetarians who eat both eggs and dairy. And they're considered or called ovo-lacto-vegetarians. And of course you have the vegetarians who do not partake in any of that. And really and truly, they are truly plant-based. They're truly plant-based, but I'll talk about plant-based in just a minute. So those are the different categories that you have for vegetarianism. I actually I'm more of an over vegetarian. I eat eggs. But in full disclosure, I will do dairy, but it's not high on my list. It is truly not high on my list. Even as a kid, I didn't like milk and milk-based products. It's not high on. I hated butter as a child. I mean, I hated butter. And I know the sister who's above me, Jay, she could just take milk from the carton and no, it was the bottle. When I was coming up, it was the bottle. And she could just, she could just chug it down. No, I'm definitely not a dairy person. That being said, I do partake, but it's very, very, very minimal, and it's rare. Okay, so that's vegetarianism, and that was a little bit about me. Pesterianism, which is what I am. I eat fish. I eat from the sea, and that includes sea vegetables as well, but I eat from the sea. Okay, anything from the sea, well, I have to like it, but anything from the sea, rivers, that sort of stuff. I eat fish. I'm a pescatarian, and that's what that means. Pescatarian means fish. Pesterian means somebody who eats fish. A flexitarian. And a flexitarian really is the heading for somebody who's a carnivore. Somebody who eats meat, but they eat fish, they eat vegetables, they eat nuts, legumes, rice. They're really flexible in their diet. You know, their diet's very, very flexible. And they eat from all the different categories. And then you have a vegan or veganism. And a vegan is somebody who doesn't actually eat anything that comes from the animal kingdom. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. For strict vegans, they do not wear anything that has come from an animal, whether it be wool, whether it be leather, snake skin, shoes. They absolutely do not. Their homes have nothing in it, like their furniture is not made from that. You know, you can't have a leather couch or a hide couch. Nothing like that. Nothing that involves an animal. Absolutely nothing. And that's a strict vegan. So guys, those are the basic categories that people come under. And once again, you have your extremism within that. You know, like a fruitarian. While they fall under the vegetarian guys, they're way on that side. They don't eat vegetables. They don't eat grains for the most part. They will eat seeds, nuts sometimes, depending, but for some, not even that. What category do you belong to? Okay? And you can belong to more than one category. As I said to you, I am a pescatarian, but I fall under the vegetarian guys as well. And the two for me are very closely intertwined. I'm an over vegetarian pescatarian. That's what I am. So what category do you fall into? I want to talk very briefly about what whole food and plant-based eating is. So let me just address plant-based. Plant-based eating is actually eating anything that comes from the plant kingdom. Anything. And for those of you who decide to text and email me and say, yeah, well, you know, cows eat grass and hay and blah blah, yeah, please. Okay? Any plant, any fruit, any nut, any seed, any grain, anything that comes from a plant. This is plant-based eating. Now, for the most part, you'd think that this is healthy. Not so. If you eat food that has its origins in a plant or from a plant, and you eat food that has been created in a laboratory setting, this doesn't necessitate that the food's healthy. What it does tell you is that it is plant-based. That's all it tells you. It's plant-based. And that's what many people look for. It's plant-based. This is why the vegan diet can be particularly challenging. And on a personal level, unless you are doing it right, it can be downright toxic. You see, because if it comes from a plant, you can eat it, which means that you can eat potato chips. It means that you can eat a slew of the faux meats that they have out there. And they've hit the ground running with faux meats. I mean, they've done this pea isolate, this yellow pea isolate, and they're making all sorts of stuff. And believe me, some of it tastes good, but people need to understand that this has been processed to all get out. And the body has to assimilate it. So yes, it's come from a plant, but it doesn't mean that it's healthy for you. And once again, this is why a vegan diet can be challenging if vegans don't actually subscribe to a whole food diet. A whole food, a whole vegetarian diet. So that being said, plant-based is really easy. As long as it comes from a plant, you're good to go. It's plant-based. You need to make sure that you understand, though, what you're eating and how it was prepared. Which leads me into the segue of what is whole food. As I said to you at the beginning of this tutorial, I am a whole food, plant-based pescatarian. We've just spoken about what plant-based is. If it comes from a plant, it's plant-based, it's easy. Whole food is a little bit more challenging. Many people ascribe a whole food to just something being from the vegetarian kingdom, and this includes grains, nuts, legumes, seeds, fruits. They say if it's whole food, it comes from there, and in reality, they're right. But whole food also pertains to the animal kingdom as well. Now, there are many thoughts about this, but whole food isn't just about a vegetarian lifestyle. An egg is a whole food. An egg is a whole food. Meat is a whole food. Poultry is a whole food. Fish is a whole food. Whole food is about how the food has been processed, how the food has been reared or cultivated. You see, you could be eating carrots, and because they are a vegetable, you think that they're a whole food. Well, no, they're not. Because they were genetically engineered to be bigger, longer, thicker, and the crop to be a bumper crop in a shorter space of time than nature had originally intended it. You're no longer eating a whole food. You're eating a vegetable that has been processed to all get out. So guys, it's important to understand whole food is about how the plant has been processed, how the plant has been reared. How things are reared, it's vitally important. If you eat an egg, as I said, an egg is a whole food, okay? You eat an egg. Now the difference is, was this egg raised, and I call it compassionate farming. I didn't actually research to see if there was a specific name, but I call it compassionate farming. where the chickens really are allowed to roam free. They're allowed to forage, they're allowed to scratch and dig their food. They're allowed to lay their eggs wherever they want to lay them. Whatever is given to them, it is given to them in an organic fashion. They're not fed ground up chicken feathers and bones so that they can eat. They're not raised and reared in a battery farm setting. You see, the end product will denote how holistic your food is. Meat can be whole food too. You know, was this bison or whatever it is that you eat, was it allowed to roam and graze and do what it does naturally? This is a whole food. Whole food, again, is also about the processing. Was it stored in a refrigerator, in a deep freeze, for 2 years before it hit your plate? You know, how was it stored? Was it fed enormous amounts of antibiotics so it would stay healthy in unhealthy conditions? This is not a whole food. A whole food is indicative of how the food was cultivated, how it was reared, in addition to how it's slaughtered. That too is important. That too is important because, as I said at the beginning of this tutorial, everything that you eat impacts your ability to live. It impacts your ability to manifest. It impacts your ability to have your prayers answered. It impacts you on every level. You see, because whatever you are eating, you are assimilating the life of the food that you're eating. So whole foods, guys. Whole foods. Whole food is how the food has been processed and how the food has been cultivated and reared, how the food has been prepared to take it to market. So when you actually read a label, make sure you understand what you're reading. Yeah, this is a plant-based. One of my favorite faux food companies it's called Morning Star, and actually I only like their burgers. And the Meat Lovers burger, actually it's called Meat Lovers burger. I don't know why they call it that. I don't love meat, and I never have. Even as a child, I didn't like meat. But I came up in the era that Mama put that on the plate. If Mama put that on the plate, you're gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat it. So I never really liked meat, so as an adult I really don't partake. As I said, I love fish, I'm a pescatarian. But where I was going was, when you read the back of a label, no matter who you are or what food group you belong to, make sure you understand what you're reading. When you peruse the vegetarian aisle, make sure you understand where your vegetables have come from. Do a little research into what it means for organic and see how that interacts with you, how you feel about that. Because while organic farming is truly a better way to go, believe me, while organic farming is a better way to go, they still use pesticides and herbicides. They just don't use 20,000 of them, which is an exaggeration. They just don't use, like 150 of them, which is more in alignment. They use maybe 5. So understand what it is that you are doing when you put the food that you eat into your mouth. Recognize that your body has to assimilate it. Now, do I think that there are diets that are better than others? Well, one of the dietary lifestyles, one of the lifestyles of categories that actually does concern me is veganism. Because you can eat anything that has been created in a laboratory and it's vegan. And for me, this has concerns. This has serious concerns. So in this household, you have me, who is a whole food, plant-based pescatarian. And my husband, who is a whole food, plant-based flexitarian. I really do. I'm very, very cautious about what I eat. I would say 80% of the food that I eat is organic. 80%. And the rest is sometimes I just don't feel like going to where I need to go to get whatever it is that I want to get. Sometimes it's just not happening. Okay. I do partake in faux foods, but not a lot. I have my favorite companies, as I mentioned before. Morningstar do a really wicked burger for me, and the other place is Vegetarian. Love it. They make some a faux lamb that tastes like lamb to me, and it really does. But they make some really good faux meats, if this is something that you need, and occasionally for me that tastes good. What else did I want to share with you? Guys, be sure to check out the webinar on taste profiling. Your taste profile. What is that? Everybody has their own unique taste profile. And your taste profile is all about you getting what you need from food. And understanding your taste profile can support you in doing that. When you are supported in doing that, it can help you stay healthy, and not only that, it can help your mind as well. Because again, food is not only about keeping body and soul together. It's about being healthy. It's about having a healthy body, an agile mind, and the ability to manifest what it is that you want in life. So guys, I'm Dr. Wendy Dearborne. I hope you've enjoyed this. I have enjoyed bringing it to you. Once again, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Until next time, guys, peace.